Hello, I'm down here. What ho, and welcome to another, not another inciting installment of The Little Massive, our second official visit to the wonderful world of Jacks Off on a Plane With. And the wonderful thing about flying on commercial airlines is you never know who you're going to be sat next to for the duration of the flight. But today we do know it's, it's very difficult to sum him up in just a sentence or two, but he's a very dear friend and occasional luncher in the before times. It is none other than Mr. Ed Lewis. Oh, I can. No, you're not. Hey, yes, yeah. We bring you on. We bring you on. That's a little bit ignorant, but of you. But we've got we've got a couple of hours. Let's see if we can't melt some of that ice.
Fasten your seatbelt, please.
Oh, hello. Oh, sorry, I've got to fasten my seatbelt. Hang on. Yeah. I've got a boost. I've got a little booster cushion. Ah. Oh, hello. We can't hear me. Hang on. Ooh. That shouldn't be happening. Hang on then. Every time there's something different. Oh, capture card's off. That's not going to... No, that shouldn't be a thing. Desktop's audio.
Massive movements.
Ed Lewis! Welcome, Ed Lewis, to Jacks Off on a Plane.
Is this the bit where I make a joke about how you sit down in a little chair again, and it's very funny the first time round, but definitely wouldn't work the second
it
time
went
round?
over really well in rehearsal.
So how do you sit down on the plane then? I want to know a few details about you. What kind of luggage are you? Are you the kind of guy who brings on multiple bags, or are you a one, cabin bag? Sorry, I'm just listening to the...
Yeah, it's important.
No one ever listens to these things anyway.
Oh, hang on. I've just got to... I think I've left my phone on.
Okay, yeah.
Where is it?
I'll make sure mine's off as well.
Oh, there you are.
It's actually going to do airplane mode. It's actually what a treat. What a treat it is. I love this bit.
So please stow your carry-on luggage underneath the seat in front of you or in an overhead bin.
Be very surprised if I don't run out of battery.
Into a space that is too small for it. Then please take your seat.
I like the admin. I like a bit of admin.
Read the safety information card located.
Have you read your sick bag yet?
Yeah, every time.
It's good. It's important reading.
This is important reading. I don't ever listen to this though. Is this what we're talking about on this thing? Because I want to talk about this. I like
Smoking is prohibited.
how it's never been right. As long as most of my life, I'm 33 of my years,
You don't look it.
I don't. I know. Thank you. I did just.
That might not
I
have
did
been
just.
a compliment, but
Oh, I know. I'm taking it as a compliment. I'm choosing to take it as a compliment,
That's
that's how I get by in life mostly. I just choose to
create a
take things
reality,
as a compliment, and that just that keeps me happy, keeps me entertained. I entertain myself anyway. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone smoke on a plane. So why are they still going on about the anti-smoke, the don't smoke on a plane thing?
yeah.
Into the seatback monitor.
And the signs everywhere.
Demonstrating the safety features of this
Okay,
aircraft.
here we've got the safety features.
Yeah, we can talk over this if you. I fly all the time on this particular on Pan Atlantica,
Yeah.
and I've never crashed once.
Where are we going? I've just woken up and I'm here on the plane now.
I'm surprised that we've taken the bag off of his head.
Yeah,
I think we're possibly going to Nova Scotia.
we're going to know. We're possibly, but only
Possibly, yes.
Hold on, maybe this.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded. You'd be getting you'd be getting this if you were going to Singapore, Japan.
Okay, it's the same
Dundee.
regardless of which one
Does-
you get on. Yeah,
Does Dundee have
fair
a?
enough.
I think Dundee has an air.
Yeah. I've been to Dundee before. It was nice. I recorded the first ever EP with my old band when I was 20 years old, so long ago.
In
And
Dundee?
in Dundee, because Taliesin here. But interestingly, I'm not here to pitch Taliesin, but I'm a big Taliesin fan, as I know there's a couple people got Osric 42 in. Oh wait, are we allowed to see the chat?
You are allowed to see the chat. Yeah.
We're
No,
allowed
that's
to.
fine, that's fine.
The chat is on the plane with us.
Yeah. They're all in coach.
They're all behind us in coach,
Yeah,
and we're in first class, of
We're
course.
well, if this is first class, then I want my money back. But yes. Osric's demanding ice cream.
Yeah. Of course, as always. I'm pretty sure they'll do some ice cream. Maybe not for cattle class, though. Are we allowed to call it cattle class?
I think we're
33
we're
years,
allowed
Ed
to.
Sage.
We're allowed
Okay,
to.
well, I won't. Taliesin, are we off?
We got some bits then. I'm not set up for bits. N. Curtis has resubscribed for 33 months.
Millstone Barn. Everyone's in row 38. That's
Okay,
great.
see.
Everyone's in row
Hey,
38. I
excellent,
get it.
excellent.
I see it.
It's a pretty.
But
It's along the
Taliesin.
wings, that one. Taliesin. Yes.
Taliesin. Why was I talking about Taliesin?
You were recording your first extended play
And
album.
they recorded their LP. You might want to call it.
Long player record.
Yes, in the same place in Dundee, and so we specifically went to that guy's house because we wanted the same sound.
Oh, excellent.
And I think we got it, but we stayed in a youth hostel, and there was a chalkboard on the wall, and I very specifically remember one comment on there, and it said, "The Mitch says kiss a knife," and I remember thinking, and that's just stuck with me forever for some reason. So
Yeah.
the Mitch, if you're watching,
Hey,
never did kiss that knife.
one day.
Never did kiss.
What does that mean?
Maybe. I think it means get stabbed in the face.
Yeah, that's sort of. But also, I can kind of imagine a hardened sociopath. No, not a sociopath. That doesn't fit. Psychopath planting a little, giving a little sort of pre-murder smooch. Before going to town on whatever his
Blowing a
particular.
kiss. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So, how long have you been? Did the hostess deliver a message to Ed? We missed you. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, it comes up on the little screen. You know, you've got on planes. They pop up on the screen, and I can see what row you're sitting in, and I can see. That's all I can see, though. They come through anonymous on the screen, and so you can sort of torment people who are sitting near you.
With peanuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
listening.
speaking of music,
Yeah.
are you musicking these days? In because obviously because of the ongoing situation, it's simultaneously the worst time to record music with people, but at the same time, it's probably the best time in history to date to be making music when you can't meet up with people.
Well, yeah, I have, and thank you for asking. And I guess, yes, I have. I did a music production course. My girlfriend, Berit, she don't know. You didn't need those details. She
Colour the story.
She does exist, all right. I'm not just making her up. I promise.
She's from Norway. You won't know her.
Yeah, you wouldn't know she's from Norway. She lives in Oslo or something.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But we've kissed and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She got me for Christmas. It's a really lovely gift actually. She got for me a music production course with a tropical house producer called Kygo. Now, I hadn't heard of Kygo either, but Kygo has got on his latest song, got 750 million views on YouTube. So it's safe to say he's doing all right for himself. So it is a bit strange. Oh,
Yeah.
so was that the
Oh, it's the pilot who apparently is Bennett Foddy. That's fine.
Yeah, so we can talk over him.
Yeah, let's talking over it with Bennett Foddy. Yeah.
So but anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, but he's done this production course for some reason with a company called Monthly. Now I feel like I'm here to plug that. I'm not. Monthly.com, but it was very, very good. It was a 30-day long music production course that was you were kind of tasked to do. You have to have some knowledge of music a little bit, and I've played music in bands for years and stuff and been doing singing and stuff, but it's definitely more and more becoming a hobby rather than something that I wanted to pursue. Like when I was 15 and I was starting out in bands, I was like, I am going. Thanks, Cap.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I need to. It's kind of. I needed to do it. I needed to be. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a famous rock star, and I was absolutely desperate for it. And it kind of obviously that never really happened, unfortunately. But it's changed into sort of being a hobby.
I was going to say, I think you have a sort of mentality when you're growing up that you're going to basically be picked out. You're the special one, and you're just going to be sort of plucked from obscurity and thrust into stardom. And, and when that doesn't happen, it was and also I think in terms of the quality of your actual skills, you kind of expect to be good from the outset, and if you're not, then it's a struggle. But I think when you get older, you suddenly says, oh, actually, I think because I think the path to goodness is basically putting up with being rubbish for a length of time.
Yeah,
and I think they say as you get older, you get better at being rubbish. If that makes sense.
At least I think more humble or more just self-aware. I think I've become so painfully self-aware, and it's interesting. This is the perfect kind of group of people to talk to about these things. So hello, chat. But it's kind of why. A lot of why I don't do this sort of stuff online anymore. I'm enjoying this because it's lovely to every now and again. My ego needs a little scratch, my ego, the attention seeker in me wants to come and have fun and be sort of a performer. But it is something that I kind of. This is there's got the danger of falling into something quite deep immediately.
We're not off the ground yet.
Well, we haven't even taken off yet. The altitude is already getting to me, and we're only 6 feet off the ground. But I just feel it just got to a point where I felt like I was representing with it. We're jumping straight into what I was doing with the Elite Dangerous side of things. But it does tie back in. It felt like I was just representing other people's really hard work, and I understand it was a relationship that was needed at that time. With Elite was taking off, and I was the first community manager to last longer than a month, and I stayed there 5 years and built that stuff up. And then by the time I left, there was a team of 8 people, and apparently that's grown since and stuff, and that's something to be quite proud of. But I would I'd be on stage and people would be kind of, hey, cheering and saying all these really positive things to me and asking for photographs with me and things, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's and I understand that I put in a lot of hard work for it, but at the same time, it wasn't my thing, I always wanted to have like things that the attention, great. And the on-stage stuff and standing up at FX was one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my life.
Edward Lewis.
Edward Lewis.
Yeah, not Ed Lewis. Edward Lewis.
No. What? Is that what he said on stage? Edward Lewis.
I think there was an instruction backstage that it was Edward Lewis, not Ed Lewis.
Yeah, it wasn't just that. He got the name entirely wrong. the first time I got on stage during the rehearsals, he called me something like Stephen Jones, and I was just like, and I walked on, just going. I don't think that's my name.
Sadly, Stephen Jones can't be with us today.
Yeah, he got Edward Lewis instead. But funnily enough, I absolutely loved it, Osric, and I appreciate you saying that. And I loved it, and I do I'd like to think I kind of thrive in those environments, and I am sort of naturally good at it. I'm a good improviser, So even though a lot of that was planned, it was the main beats were planned for it, and then everything in between was improvised. And that's what I'm the best at, is improvising. If I plan too much, and I've learned this last few years to plan my improvisation better. Just in general in life, and my role has changed, but I'm sure maybe you'll ask about this stuff in a bit, so I won't go too far. But music, it just comes back to it, because I would love to receive success and be up on stage for stuff that I've created, but I'm also not good enough. You know, the stuff's fine, the stuff is good, but it's not. You know, otherwise. Well, there's an element of hard work put in there as well, isn't there? There's an element of right place, right time, mixed in with who you know, mixed in with how much money you've got as well. Yeah. Like, if you look, like a lot of famous young bands are basically financed by their... And I have a story on that, actually. Have you ever heard of a band called the 1975?
I am familiar with the... Yes. I couldn't name a song if I fell over one, but yes.
They're a Radio 1 popular band for the last 5 years. They used to be a band called Drive Like I Do, and Drive Like I Do I used to play with in Manchester when we were playing in, like, this is kind of 13 years ago now. I'm still talking about it. Oh, we're about to take off. Great stuff. But I just remember we used to spend a lot of time following them around because we thought they were really cool, and they were doing sort of pop punk stuff and very sort of raw, and he was very Manchester in the way that he sang and stuff like that. And then now you look at their songs and they've just gone huge, and we played shows with them and we hung about with them, and they just got massive. And the reason they got so big is because his mum...
Now I'm in his chair. Oh, I was gripped, and we've lost. I think we've lost in Edward.
No, I'm back, but I don't know what happened there.
Oh,
can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. But if you get your video back up, then we should automatically. Hurrah! We're back. So, yeah.
Anyway, they basically his mum, the lead singer's mum. It must be just my internet connection. I don't know. The lead singer's mum is what's his name? What's her name? From Loose Women. One of the Loose Women is his mum, and basically she financed them to sit inside his shed, smoking weed and writing songs. And then basically Denise Welch. That is correct. Thank
Denise
you.
Welch.
It is Denise Welch and so they went, and like his dad's an actor, and so they just basically sat in his garage making music on repeat, and obviously being introduced to the right people, and they did have talent, of course. Yeah. Tim Healy, there you go. And we used to hang, and then I remember seeing him just before they were about to get massively famous, and meeting them at the just bumping into him in the train station in London for some reason. He was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And we just ended up having this chat, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, we're just about to record this album," and that's what got them to be huge. But also, I saw them at Glastonbury, and he was walking up this muddy pathway at Glastonbury. Oh yes, I'm very middle class. I go to Glastonbury. Glastonbury, and as he was coming up the pathway, you had his he had this sort of furs, like probably fake furs. I think he says he's trying to be vegan. I don't know why I know this information. It's not as if I stalk them because I'm secretly very, very jealous. And he had the fur shawl on, and he was just sort of like floating because he was probably high on something. Again, I'm not
success. High on success.
High on success, of course. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Just get high on success. And he was clearly high on success. He certainly was heightened. And with his band, and I remember I was there with my partner at the time, and I suddenly heard this Ed, and I looked over, and he was coming up, and it was like, there's the lead singer of the 1975 just beckoning me over, and I looked so cool in that moment.
Yeah.
But except I didn't, because I was wearing an Oxfam bright yellow fluorescent jacket. You know, the what are they called? Tabard, I suppose you might call it. And because I was volunteering at Oxfam, so I'd been up since about 3 a.m. in a volunteering shift checking people's tickets, and then this rock star comes up, and I was just like, that should have been me. I should have been the rock star. And I have another one as well where I was in a band with a guy and he was a drummer and he left to go and join a pop band and we all mocked him. And then he became Rixton, and Rixton aren't huge. High-vis jacket, that's right. And Rixton aren't massive, but they for a second were like they were playing on Ellen DeGeneres and stuff. And I remember I was putting on my tie one morning when I was working at Volkswagen because I did a stint at Volkswagen as a communications person before I started at Frontier. And he was transferable skills, communications.
Yeah.
And he was I was putting my tie on, and I was like, and I was staying in Milton Keynes in a B&B, and I'd been there for about 15 weeks. And I was just like, I hate putting ties on. I just hate this. And I looked at my TV, and there was the guy from the band sitting there being interviewed on BBC Breakfast. And I was like, I should have been the one being interviewed on BBC Breakfast. So my music career has been a series of disappointments. So what I've done instead is decide to stop trying and actually just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And so I've been making music for fun and just churning stuff out and having so much fun with using Ableton. And I don't know if you know Ableton and I've got this thing, and I managed to get this on the plane as well. I've got my Ableton Push 2, which
It's technically Carry On.
Yeah. Well, it's quite dear to me, and I bought a new mic recently, and I've spent too much money on lots of plugins and stuff for making sounds. So I might subject you all to some of it at some point.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Well, there you go. Sorry, it was a long way to answer a very short question.
We like long answers. Well, I do because it's less work.
Sorry, I just want to have a refill on the beer, if that's all right.
There's no one there, Ed. There's no one there.
Oh, so they're not.
No.
You could have yes-anded it. You could have helped me.
Oh,
but you decided to destroy.
I no blocked you. I'm so sorry. I'll get the next one. Also, there was a joke. I think I can't remember. I think it was an Orange Sparks joke. And it's a good one. Which is basically, I think I accused him of no blocking me. It's like, did you just no block me? And his response was yes, and
That is
perfect.
good.
Fantastic joke.
Yeah.
Fantastic joke.
Yeah. Ed Lewis's Jazz Odyssey before 10. Maybe not today. If I could get Ableton working through here, maybe next time I can do some live improvisational beat making to close things off. But thanks for asking about music, Jack, because it is my favorite thing in the world still, and it is everything. It is everything. Nature, sound, music. It's everything to me. I really, really do care about it a lot, and to the point where I sometimes can't listen to music because it will make me too emotional. Even happy songs can't do it because it takes me back to a certain. So I have periods of my entire life where I just cannot listen to music at all because it just takes me back to that very specific place. Anyway, I wonder if you're the same.
Is there? Well, there's I generally there are certain songs which take me back. I couldn't name them. That take me back to certain jobs. That I've basically any job that involves listening to a radio is probably not a very good job. Okay. On some level.
See. If the job is to listen to the radio, or do you mean involves?
Oh no! If there is a radio available to listen to whilst you do the job.
Right.
Yeah. Generally, because essentially it's like, well, it's not work that is so complicated that you're going to get distracted by hearing Nickelback 8 times in one day.
Yeah, or for me it was Nelly. Yeah, do you remember that song? It was absolutely huge for about 3 years, and that was my first job. I was working at, do you know A&M Bargains?
Oh yes, I believe so.
It's like B&M, but even cheaper.
Yeah.
And basically, I worked there for about a year on £2.75 an hour, and they would play that on the radio all day, every day while I was stacking shelves. Guess what, everyone? I was rubbish. I was so bad at stacking shelves. I am really, really, really bad at anything that involves any sort of, I would say, I don't know what it is. It's just like if there are rules and it's to do with kind of, because I also did I did 2 weeks. My work experience when I was in year 10 at school was at the Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and I was in the woodwork department. And let me tell you, they didn't quite fully understand me. And that's the end of the sentence. They didn't understand me, and I don't think I understood me either. And
they didn't get the Lewis. They didn't get the Lewis.
They didn't get the little snobby middle class like boy who kind of, for some reason, already thought he was better than other people.
Yeah.
I don't anymore, but I think that was something. I was a little bit of a snobby kid, weirdly.
Yeah. It's easy to. It's odd because I think you're sort of presented with aspirations, aren't you? And you kind of confuse the aspiration with where somebody is in life themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but so explain it again.
Okay, so
just in case I was lying to you and it didn't make any sense.
So basically, just as a hypothetical example, if your parents sort of brought you up, they sort of notice that you've got, because you watched, I don't know, some legal drama at some point. They thought, oh, he likes the law. Let's push him into a career into the law, and you think, oh, what? That's a job. Which is another question I want to come to actually in a minute. That's something I can do as a job. Is it be a lawyer? Oh yeah, I'll do that then. And you sort of try and get on in law. You sort of start to assume that anything below becoming a lawyer is not a worthwhile job, and therefore that the people who are doing those jobs aren't worthwhile to the same degree, but there's something sort of deficient there, which is obviously bunkum, But I think
it's
that's quite
nonsense.
an easy mental trap to fall into.
Definitely, and as a young person growing up, you have like we were talking right about the start, that ambition, that level of sort of, I am special and I'm going to do something special, and then you just sort of starting to realise.
Yeah. Oh wait, am I normal?
Around about 33, actually, this year is when you just go, actually, turns out we all are it takes sometimes, and I don't want to get into this too much, and stop me if it gets a bit depressing. It takes a global pandemic to level everybody out.
Oh, yeah.
I think,
oh, yeah.
And it's been a great leveler in some really well. I just mean in terms of society structure. I know that there's been people way worse off than others, and I'm actually extremely grateful for a lot of the positives that have happened that have been brought about because of all of this. But deep down, it says griefed, we're all just meatbags, and he's absolutely right.
Quite right. Got a lot of emotional music coming in.
Go on, read some of this.
We have Jack Little's boy, who is watching us from next door, I think.
Oh, hi.
A radio at work you cannot control. I enjoyed 6 months in a sorting office with XFM in 2004. A terrible year for music.
What happened in 2004, music-wise? 2004.
I'm guessing nothing. That would be my.
Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus.
Ooh.
I'm betting that is one of them. That's maybe not.
Indie landfill. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google it. 2004 music.
And it's Micro T. A handful of songs that are a bit too much for me. One of them is Katy Perry, but in my defence, I do not choose the song. It was thrust upon me unwillingly. There's a lovely story about John Oliver splitting up with his girlfriend in a cafe somewhere, and
right.
And it's one of those sort of mutual, like, this isn't really working, let's just call it a day sort of thing. And whilst they were sitting in this cafe, over the radio came the song, what's it called? Ain't No Sunshine After Rain. Is that the song? Ain't no sunshine after rain.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone?
Possible. That would make more sense as a lyric. Yeah, because generally, anyway, and that's came, and it was so sort of.
If it was no sunshine after rain, that would kind of break the whole point of precipitation.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is part of the whole system. But anyways, as you were saying,
yeah, and it simultaneously was the most appropriate song possible and totally inappropriate. And apparently they just both burst into laughter. So
Oh, poor John Oliver. I like John Oliver.
There is a. Oh, it's not Katy Perry. It's Taylor Swift.
2004, by the way, I looked it up, and interestingly, that is the year that Yeah was apparently. So that was the same year, but that can't be right.
That feels very late for Yeah.
That's 18 years ago.
Yeah. Time should stop doing that, really, shouldn't it?
Something like that. What, just going on? Britney Spears' Toxic was that same year. Now, Britney Spears' Toxic.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be said that is a classic. But did you know somebody at you didn't know this? Why would you have possibly have known this? But somebody at the sixth form music teacher at my school was one of the producers on Toxic, and apparently she strutted on in. She gave one take, she left, and that was it. They had to pick up the pieces. She did one take on it, and then they made the song based on the one recording that she did, which is kind of incredible.
That was KLF getting thingy in. Oh, good God. I've left my names in my other suitcase.
That's absolutely fine.
Justified H is a Mumi, the big song. Tammy Wynette. Thank you, Jack Little's wife. Thank you.
Tammy Wynette. There we go.
Yeah. Where,
wonderful.
They got her in for they're justified and they're ancient and they drive an ice cream van. That whole song. That's Tammy Wynette on that, which is why Tammy's in the lyric.
Sorry, guys. I'm just getting some complaints about singing voices. I just want to
Sorry. So, yeah, that's probably it now for singing.
Kicking the back of my seat.
I do.
Because they just.
You've got headphones, what?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
There's someone over there watching Beetlejuice on the next aisle over.
Oh, go on, bring it in. Look at that.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's the stuff. Copyright Liberation Front. But oh no, can't say that on Twitch. She apparently is not very good at singing to any sort of time signature at all. She sort of slows that because it's within the genre of country and western. She sort of she'd basically sing, and her band, who are adept musicians, would basically just sort of drift along time-wise with however she happened to be singing. And
like any good band should.
Absolutely.
Sort of.
But of course, it doesn't sit well with repetitive beats type music. No. So apparently there was quite a struggle. Once Tammy had sung her a bit, to actually get it to fit the rhythm of everything. And they used quite, I think at the time, quite advanced digital editing to kind of stretch and compress her vocals in order to
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I bet it was quite advanced stuff back then. Still doing it to tape. Go on.
It's Microtis asking, can we let him know when the bathroom on the right opens up? I'm not going into the one on the left again. Nearly burned my nose hair. I think he's been smoking in the. Oh yes, no. There was a thing. Oh, Mrs. There was a thing that sort of arose. This is the first time we've done a stream together. Do you realise this?
No, I didn't realise that. And which way am I looking? Am I looking the right way if I look this way?
Yes, that's perfect.
This way. That's perfect. Good.
Yeah.
I feel we've met in person once. We met in person at the Frontier Expo. I've been following your career for quite some time. You did also do a stream with one of Will's friends, didn't you?
Yes,
as well,
Little Willie.
Little Willie, yeah.
Yes.
Little Willie, man. You didn't even try hard on that one, did you?
It wasn't me trying hard on that one. It was William. He plumped for Little Willie. He grabbed it with both hands.
Did he?
As soon as the option presented itself.
Knowing what I know about him, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me.
But Little
It's nice to see every.
Did you know the fate of Little Willie, of course, was that he was auctioned off, and is now, I think, traveling
really?
the world. He's traveling the world, I believe.
For the for on a live stream of sorts or something like that, or
I'm not entirely sure, but I know he's out there. We tried to get him in for the Halloween special, but it didn't come together in the end.
okay. Retired Willie.
24-hour live stream. We're not doing a 24-hour live stream, Osric. We've been
4 hour live stream starts right now. Let's go.
My energy basically falls off completely at 2.5 hours. So,
2.5 hours. Yes,
Yeah,
so is
so-
mine, but we still managed 3 of them. They were life highlights for me. Those live streams.
I am slightly disturbed by 24-hour live streams where it's just like one person. And
First time I did that. Go on. Sorry, as you were saying.
I was just that what I liked about the Frontier ones was the fact that it first was basically just the number of people that you had involved in this sort of it gave it a sort of a telethon kind of energy to it, and also
we really wanted to make it feel like that. The last one we did especially was. I'm still super proud of that live stream setup. That their room Luke Ritson, myself, and a guy called Kane Davis. Kane sort of designed it, but we built that, and I'm not going to be like I built that. I built all of that. But if it wasn't for all of the stuff that we had done, me and Zach, to slowly build up the live streaming is an important part of how we communicated with everybody, and we built up the studio's confidence and David Braven's confidence in what we were trying to do and what our vision was, with kind of having that direct conversation with the community. And I mean so direct to the point where we would have the devs on stream talking to the community, which is all that stuff is just obvious stuff now, right? And it kind of was at the time, but we just grew trust and stood up on stage at FX and did that, and then we were able, as a result of those things performing well, to make this studio and be given a budget, and then designed it, and then worked with Kane to do the sort of the designs in it, and Luke built some of the tech and helped me set up the tech, and it became our little project. You can control that room, and this is the whole idea. People, right? I've got to be careful with what I say. And by saying that, I've already
said too much.
But I think there's an assumption anywhere in any business, in any company, doesn't matter which company it is, that this stuff costs a lot of money to do. And
we're cruising now, so welcome to the flight. Hopefully
Cheers.
the weather cooperates and we can give you a nice, smooth ride.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let you know if we've got any other updates.
Thanks.
Sit back,
Thanks, Bennett.
relax, and enjoy the flight.
Thank you.
That is actually Bennett Foddy as well. I'm not being
Oh,
racist.
right.
It is actually Bennett
Right,
Foddy.
is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, there's an assumption that this stuff is very expensive to do. But I think great, I can finally load up my Tamagotchi. So I was on that point about the cost of things. There's an assumption I think that most businesses make, that it costs a lot of money to run these things, and then you need lots of people to do it as well. You need an engineer to sit and make sure it's all being watched carefully and it all working. We designed that studio, and it's a lovely. You've been in the studio.
I was with I suppose, apart from the size of the cameras, and that might just be where things are these days, because I wouldn't know. It's basically a TV studio. It's a little corner TV studio is basically what it is.
It's something that I've been I was very, very proud of. I love that place, and then I got to use it maybe twice properly. We did the 24-hour live stream, and then we did my last stream where it was about, and we made it about Elite Dangerous, not about an update or something. Instead, not about the fact that it was my last stream, but then it did become my last stream, and that was it was very emotional. It was very emotional.
I remember.
But I remember wanting to feel more emotional about it. I remember wanting to feel like I want this to feel big and sad and momentous, and it did. But at the same time, it didn't ever feel final. I mean, I'm still here talking to you guys, and the people who are important are still talking to me. And this is the thing, and I'm still in touch with everyone who was special to me at Frontier. I'm still very much in touch with them. So I kind of just felt like it was time. It felt very much like the right time. Hey, we got into that all of a sudden.
Whoa.
But we designed that studio so that anyone sitting on the sofa could, with a wireless keyboard, control the entire thing themselves.
Yeah.
And it worked. We never did it that way because it was risk involved if it did break down. So we did always have one other person in the room, but we had it as well. We trained up community managers to be able to use these community managers were using soundboards and visual mixing desks. Like we were doing that and then Shante and Stegs joined, and so like me, Bo, Shante, Stegs, we were and Will were all able to use proper visual mixing professional equipment, and we could and it was a dream team. It was awesome, and then it kind of felt like that was there you go, done with that. But I'm still super proud of it. I can't remember why I'm getting into this.
No, it's I can't remember. It was through the 24-hour live streams, I think.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right,
and they were just like next level, like the best things I've ever done. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just. I'm quickly scrolling up through chat
Yeah,
while you read it. Osric saying, Ed, I remember the first year, and I was supposed to come back on at 6 a.m. to do a biscuit review with you, and you were struggling so much we just ended up chatting for an hour.
Did we?
You know.
I don't remember that, but that was the first year, yeah, and the first 24-hour live stream. So did we do 3? I think maybe 3 or 4. 3, and it was at the end of the third year. But the first one, I did just do the entirely on my own, sitting in front of the pull-up banner that we had. We had this big wide pull-up banner that we were using. And we would take these pull-up banners. I would take them as my carry-on luggage, these pull-up banners on my back, to think about that, to think about what we were doing then when we were literally carrying our equipment on our backs through customs to then pull up the banners and do little trade show events where it was like, hey, have you played Elite Dangerous on VR? And we always used the Oculus Rift as the big pull to get people to sit down and play Elite. We had queues at every single event around and around and around because we were the very, very early adopters of VR, and that was super. That was cool. I really enjoyed doing those events. But yeah, and I did it in front. The first 24-hour live stream we did, I didn't plan it anywhere near as much as I was saying. It took me a while to learn about planning. Zach basically taught me how to plan things, and we had like the 3. The long banner in the back, and I just pulled up the big banner and I did it in front of a camera in a sort of not even 1920 by 1080 on these kind of terrible microphones that I'd borrowed from the audio department that were just like of varying quality. And then like just worked out how to just did it all myself. No one actually Karash had been if is I'm assuming Karash is still part of this community, and I hope he is. But he's I don't speak to him as often as I'd like. But he basically said, I called him and I said, hey, I know that you've done some live streaming. Can you just give me some tips? And he helped me set it up, and then from there, where we honestly and I was just like, we'll just wing it, guys. And Adam Woods and my first ever stream, Adam Woods and Eddie Simons, they were like, this was pre-launch original Elite Dangerous, pre-beta even. It was alpha stuff, I think. And they were showing off something new, and I was like, just wing it, it'll be all right. It was not all right. It was not all right to wing it. It sounded bad. It was confusing as to who was on screen. but it was a baptism by fire. We learned a lot very, very quickly. The Ed and Eddie show, which then developed and went on and on and on and on until Eddie Simons decided he didn't want to be on stream anymore, and so he stopped using it. There you go. There's some inside information for you.
I'll be off to the papers. Off to the papers.
He just didn't want to be on the screen. There was a lot of high pressure.
I think I've spoken to Shantae about the difficult. Well, she's spoken to me about really the difficult, because I'm not a community manager, so what do I know? But just the difficulty of having to box off parts of your head of like the stuff you can and can't talk about. And
I think it's naturally to some people. And this is something that I've learned in my. I've said a couple of things that I shouldn't have said, and I've sworn a couple of times on camera. I did one of my favorite ones ever was Gamescom, when I thought that basically, if you're ever sitting in front of a microphone in a period of time where you may be live, just in that moment when you sat down in that chair, that you make a shift mentally. You have to just make a shift mentally to say. You are no longer you are a version of you, and with me it is close. It is it's only little slight tweaks. If I'm on my own, I'm maybe a little grumpier and I swear a lot more. I've got quite a foul mouth when I'm not on camera, but like generally speaking, I try to just be, and that's what I look for as well when I'm interested in streamers and YouTube personalities and stuff, which, by the way, is few and far between in terms of what I enjoy and my stomach for how much Twitch and stuff I can watch, which is interesting, seeing as the industry that I'm in works with that quite a lot. But if it's not genuine, if it doesn't feel, it just puts me off immediately, and I can tell straight away who's entirely acting. It's always an act. It's always an act. But there's levels of how much people are acting.
It's quite difficult when you're watching somebody that doesn't.
I did. Sorry.
No, go on.
Rick says we'll drop the F on the live stream once you know when I did. And this was my first, and this is where I learned it. And I sat at Gamescom, and we had the Beige Cowboy on, Sandro Samarco, but he wasn't the Beige Cowboy. It was like my first year of knowing people. And I remember there's a few things. I was so naive, and I was so looking back at that person now, I was just like completely different person. But I was sitting there, and I'd just done a great to-camera moment. I said, thank you everybody so much for joining us here today. And as you can remember, and I was just doing the whole spiel, I was doing the whole shtick about like, and remember to head over to EliteDangerous.com to sign up to your, 400 billion star systems, massive online role-playing game set. And we were announcing, and we were showing off the videos. Now let's take a look at that video again. And remember, come right back for another interview, this time with David Braben. And then I waited, I looked at the monitor, waited for it to cut to the back soon screen, and it did. And I turned to my guest and I said, that was fucking on message.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like bragging as well, so it was really. I felt bad in my mouth as I was saying it, but I was pumped. I was excited because I'd done a good job, and I knew that Zach could be watching. He'd done great job, Ed, or like Braben was at the side as well, great job, sort of thing. So I was like, and it felt really good, and so I said that, and then I was like, and then I remember, and then. All of a sudden, the chat, and I can very specifically remember, there's a guy called Titus Balls, if you remember him. I remember very specifically coming up in the chat, just moving very quickly all of a sudden, hot mic. And I just went, oh! And then we just no one ever mentioned it ever again, and it was fine. But that for me was a moment where I was like, no, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do it again.
It's an odd sort of broadcasting rule that if there's a mic in a room, then that is a hot room, basically. That you don't swear in any room that has a microphone. But people swear on the Today programme because they don't realise.
It happens, and also swearing is becoming. Back in my day, no one used to swear, but everyone swears. I'm not even going to carry on this line of conversation because it's probably not even true.
It's
Um,
it's scrolled off the top of me chat, but it's Micro T. I think was just saying that he came to Elite after you'd left, but is still sort of aware of you through watching the old videos.
That's really nice. I was watching some the other day. I was watching the new 2 community managers, the community lead, Arthur. Is that his name?
Arthur, I think so. We've not really spoken.
No. He's Will and Zach give him some real high praise, but it is so bizarre to see. And he seems good. I was watching the live stream. It was so weird to watch an Elite Dangerous live stream that had 2 complete strangers on talking about stuff that I knew nothing about, and that, but with but with Kay as well. So it was a really like.
Nope, we've lost him again. He'll be back. Oh, ours was very good.
I'm back. I don't know why it's doing that, but I should be here now.
Peculiar.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, when you.
I think it's a glitch in the airplane systems or something. But he seems really good. But watching 2 complete strangers talk about Elite Dangerous, and I don't know either of them, I was just like, whoa, time has gone on. And I'm going to carry on talking. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But as I said, I get the urge to every now and again talk a lot. You've known me for many years. You know.
Yes.
This.
Yes. I've often listened to you at lunch.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, and I cannot stop speaking. I get it. I know what I sound like. I'm becoming more and more self-aware as time goes on, and I try, but I just get excited because there's also the idea of like, well, you'd lose some of the good bits about yourself if you try and rein it in too much, right? If I try and rein in who I am, like I shouldn't do that. If I'm feeling passionate and excited, I should just need to remember to listen and breathe from time to time. But
listen and breathe.
Community managers, as in you were saying, like it must be hard to sort of know that that's where you turn the brain on at those sorts of times and know what you can and can't say. There are just some people who are good at it and some people who are bad at it.
Yeah.
And I think you can learn it, but it takes a while to learn it. You either just naturally sort of understand it, and you kind of keep with the business facing stuff. You just always know that the business comes first. Like it's 51% business because they're the ones who pay for your job and pay the bills. And then there's 49% the community, and that's an oversimplification of how that relationship works because it swings in and out of that line, dances around that line. But no matter what, you always are representing the company, and as long as you keep that in your head, you will never say anything wrong.
Yeah.
And also, if you're just being yourself and being genuine, going back to the genuine point, you don't need to pretend anyway, because you can just go, can't answer that, sorry. And then that's it. And you don't have to do any sort of weird. But there are people who, and there's a thing that we talk about in the community management. This is. I mean, and this. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I know what I'm doing when I say that. I'm setting you up for sort of maybe there's something slightly controversial here, and I'm making you aware that the next thing that I say is something that you should take with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But what I'm actually doing is going to say is that community managers, there's a thing where some people, certain people on the internet are very, in general, not just community managers, are very interested in self-promotion and using something as a platform to boost their own profiles, and that's also something that there's a fine balance. I never did that deliberately, but back in the Elite Dangerous days, and this goes back to your very first question, I think it was a question. Back with Elite Dangerous, I did feel sometimes as if I was essentially kind of capitalizing on something that wasn't my hard work, and that felt in the end a little bit disingenuous for me to be doing that. And I've made some of the greatest friends, and also who am I kidding? As if like the Ed's 38 and that wonderful community of people, that isn't like, I didn't get famous. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a weird microcosmic corner of the internet. But you totally believe it. For a while, you totally believe it. When you're standing up on stage at FX and everyone's cheering and shouting, "We love you, Ed," and stuff, you in those moments believe it. And I don't know. It's a strange thing to talk about, isn't it? But in conclusion,
Yes.
what a lovely bunch of friends that we've got here.
I would say as well, just to your credit, I think you sort of managed the divide between the Frontier Ed and the Lewis Ed quite well with the lunchtime streams, because the lunchtime streams were basically nothing to do with Elite or Frontier, so there was a sort of a divide there, I think, at work, and I suppose was that something you were sort of conscious of?
Yes. Honestly, yes. No. I like the attention. and everyone has an ego, and my ego needed stroking, but I also can't, like, look, it's still here. It's that people are still talking about this, right?
With our in-flight service.
Finally.
Serving a snack along with a variety of complimentary
Ooh.
soft
I wonder if they got my note about my vegan snack that I
hope
needed.
so.
They probably did.
for purchase.
But it was one of those weird things of
Enjoy the flight.
thank you. It was one of those weird things where it's a great question, because I love talking about this stuff. It just so happened. It wasn't deliberate, but but in a way you can look back on it and be like, that's pretty cool. Like, that worked. And it wasn't deliberate. To say it was deliberate would be giving us too much credit. As if we sat down and went, right, what Ed's going to do is he's going to create a core audience within the core audience. And that's going to re-strengthen that, and then mean that they all come along to every live stream. And then that means that basically any negativity is then batted against. And on paper, I wish I was smart enough to come up with this. But actually what happened was I needed my ego strokings. And I was like, well, I can do my own thing on my lunch breaks, right? And so I started doing it, and it was so much fun, and we made some great friends, and then it just so happened that it completely served the business's needs at that time. Which is, hey, win-win, everyone's happy, right?
Absolutely.
Musipan, we just puppets to you? No, well, some of you are. One of you is very specifically a puppet to me. I mean, a real boy. You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you mean?
No, Musipan. No, and that's my point that I'm trying to make, is that no, I wish we were smart enough to be calculated in that way to get people to like us, but we weren't. We were just doing what we felt was a nice way to engage. We always used to say this. Zach and I always used to say this. And I think that this still suits community management. If you ever have any doubts about community management at all, and I do have to be careful to talk about this one, because actually, I don't talking about the job specifically. Sometimes I just find that to be a little crass. It's not. But anyway, I can talk about community management broadly. Community management, like. You get to go in. This is why it's the coolest job of all, because you go in, you say, what's the coolest thing that we can do to engage with our community today, right? And that's awesome. Like, your job is to make, you are both an aid for marketing, but also a counterpoint to it as well, because you are making sure that it never. And that's why community management is so cool and so wonderful, because you're sitting at this point where you're able to say, stop that right now, like marketers, like stop. But also you're able to go, that's a cool idea. Let me help you do that and grow that idea, because I know that the community will appreciate that thing, but they won't appreciate that thing.
Yeah.
So you're helping dev. because you're going in. The moments when I started getting asked by dev in meetings, what do you think, should we do this or not? And me going, yes, you should have done this 6 months ago. Those were really cool. Those were that made me feel like I was part of that experience. And that's what was so special about Frontier as well, is that I could go over at any point to the other room next door. I could at one point lean over and be like, Adam, what's going on with it? And that was, it was so cool. I do miss those days. I do miss those days.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's hang on. I think it's sort of important as well. I was struck when I visited of how essentially how hard at work everyone was, which seems like a ridiculous thing to say because it's a place of work. But it's kind of like, oh, here are the community managers, here are the devs, and it's kind of like, oh, but they should they be playing table football or something,
Yeah, I my entire time at Frontier, it was non-stop.
Yeah.
And we would create work for ourselves every single day. We did that team. The devs, at least when I was there, I can't speak to what they're like now at all. Although I know that a lot of them are still there. Just so high quality. It was really inspiring. And the amount of time video game developers put into doing what they do is just astonishing. It's astonishing. It is astonishing, and they deserve whatever they're probably handsomely rewarded with, and I hope they deserve it. It's good stuff. And then the community management and the marketing side of things, we were just, the moment we hit the ground, and we were just like never stopping for 5 years. Loved it, and it aged me quite significantly.
Millstone raises the Fall Guys community management thing.
Yeah,
which is just an astonishing. I think they've partly. It was an odd thing when I first saw the trailer of. I had two thoughts. I had two thoughts when I first saw the trailer. My first thought was, have they just taken genital jousting and cleaned it up for a family audience? Completely different developers, so no. And the second thing was, I'm going to be all over this when it comes out, because it just instantly looked amazing. And it was one of the few games, I think, when it was in development, where there was never a point where it felt like it had strayed from the reveal video. There was never a point where I didn't realise it was going to be like this. It was exactly how I expected it to be all the way along. And
it was out for quite some time, wasn't it? For a while before it got then picked up and went as big as it did. It was quite an achievement. Quite an achievement. And Oliver, I believe his name is.
Yes.
Did smashing job.
Yeah.
Smashing job.
Yeah.
He knew his audience. He clearly got the sign off to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I've seen his slides. Somebody mentioned his slides in the chat about that, and I've got to say, they did very, very. All the fundamentals are in there. Absolutely, all the fundamentals are in there, and it's very cool. It's cool to see.
The thing that they did with the auction for putting skins in the game for special effects, which I think ended up going for over $1 million, well over $1 million, I think. And it's sort of like because obviously they were no doubt getting business inquiries left, right, and centre for getting skins in the game, and thought, well, how can we game this? I think that, and they gamed it in a way that was totally acceptable to be gamed, and with just a ridiculous success.
Again, it doesn't work for everyone too.
No.
You have to you can't just copy and paste that model and it will work. It depends on the brand. It depends on it would be easy to say, why doesn't everyone just do this then? It's that's a stupid thing to say. So don't say it.
It's a game in many ways that's about padded cruelty, and I think that's quite an interesting place to be standing for all of that. And
again, knew the audience. This is in no way me taking down the achievement. I think it's a massive achievement and deserves a lot of praise. Knew the audience perfectly, knew how to communicate to that audience, knew the game very well. And somebody said, part of why the good success was due to that community manager. So yeah, great. And I and also down to the team for making an amazing game. I would say that they probably had a very, very good close relationship where they were able to communicate on what was being said. And kudos to the to publishers and Oliver's bosses who let him do this.
Absolutely.
Because and also big shout out to Takeshi's Castle, says Musipan. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because that's probably the thing that we should be giving the biggest shout out to. Yeah.
We've lost Grief. Grief has gone to bed. If you're still here, Grief, sleep well in your bed gestalt. Yep, absolutely. And
you just put the thing back. Put your thing on.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy.
Do you ever use the mask on planes? On the plane.
The mask.
On this plane. Yeah, sometimes you get you're doing an overnight flight, you get a mask and you put it on your face.
You take them with you, and then you play Batman in the hotel room and break a mug. That's what you do. That's the correct way you use those masks, I think.
So if I say the word mask to you right now, mask, what's the first thing that you think?
Jim Carrey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could say that with quite confidence because that was literally the first thing. I felt like I disappointed you though.
No, I'm just interested.
Okay.
Because I just feel like these days masks have a very different meaning, don't they? Everyone's wearing a mask. Absolutely. And I just think before 2020,
I keep it 100 the whole time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to think of myself as a WYSIWYG person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, and occasionally a GUI person, but mainly a WYSIWYG person.
Sometimes a GUI, sometimes a WYSIWYG.
Yeah.
A GUI? Graphical
user interface. Yeah.
A WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get,
Absolutely.
which I really I like that, and now I feel like I had to say that just to tell everybody that I knew what a WYSIWYG was, like a little showing off. It's a bit of a flex.
Speaking of time moving too quickly. Oh, hello. Oh, I think we're getting drinks. We're getting drinks, but they'll be haters yet. I feel like I may have told this story about 8 times already, but I had a PowerPoint course. You're familiar with PowerPoint? It's a presentation software that comes with Microsoft Windows.
Microsoft.
Yes.
I believe it's pronounced Microsoft.
Is it Microsoft? Oh, how embarrassing! Saying it wrong all this time. But
it's a silent T. Microsoft.
Part of this training with other colleagues. Part of this training, it was about the new because in olden times PowerPoint presentations came in a PPT file, and now they come in a PPTX file. I was going to start whistling then, but the moment's indeed. But
never seen X-Files.
And the person delivering this training, you should. But
I know, yeah.
I'd find a viewing list for it. That's all I'll say.
Well, it's now on Disney's Star.
Oh.
They've uploaded it all recently to that, so I am going to watch it all, and I'm just going to watch all of it. So don't try and stop me.
Okay, no, that's fine. You do you, Ed. You do you.
I will. I'll report back this time next year. We'll talk about it. We'll do it. We could start an X-Files podcast where we talk episode by episode about it, tearing it to pieces.
Yeah, let's do that. What we'll do, each one will be 2 hours long.
Yeah, and longer than the episode itself.
We'll have a Patreon, and as part of the Patreon, if people pay into the top tier of the Patreon, they get an edited down version that's only half an hour long.
Yes, that's it.
That's where the money goes.
Or they can do it themselves instead of us.
Yeah.
50 they get to do the episode.
50 quid a pop, that one.
They can pay us to do the episode for us.
But this chap sort of says anybody knows what the X stands for, and I'm this might surprise you, Ed, but sometimes I'm a bit of an eager beaver. So I put my hand up, And I said, I think I did because I'm a grown adult. I said, is it? Oh, it's X because the new file format is based on XHTML. And he goes, very good. Did you know what XHTML stands for? So, extended HTML. Yes. And what does HTML stand for? I went, hypertext markup language. And he went, very good. Now, do you remember how old you were? No, sorry. Do you remember what year you learnt what HTML stood for? And I said, 1996, I think. Probably 1995, 1996. And the woman, mark you, sitting next to me, turned to me and said, I was 3 in 1995. So I decked her. I didn't deck her, but it was just kind of like, no, you
can't be that old.
Can't be that old.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I was 95, so 8. I was 8.
8. You see, that's acceptable. I'll accept 8.
Is it? No, I don't know.
No, it's in very much the same bucket.
Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But even I feel old sometimes these days. Like all of the young community managers that I work with, and thank you. All of the community managers.
What?
I'll put my tray table, please. Apparently.
Yeah.
Really? We've got still 50 minutes until landing. I thought it was like more of a 10 minutes before landing thing that we put it up. Anyway.
No, putting it down so we can receive.
Putting it down so I can put the snaps. And
yeah.
Thank you. But it's interesting. Some of they're just very. I mean, look, we got TikTok now, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody know TikTok? Anyone in the chat know on TikTok?
Have you seen my sexy silhouette video?
No.
It's pretty good.
Have you actually genuinely done a sexy silhouette TikTok video?
No, I haven't. I can't.
You should.
Yes, I have, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's two. I've not uploaded it yet. Oh, go on then.
What are you having?
I'm having ginger ale and a packet of pretzels, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you?
Hello. Can I have just? Have you got anything that's not in a plastic cup? Yeah.
Single-use plastics.
Yeah. No, I'm not into that. And if you've got some vegan snacks, not peanuts. Great. Okay. Okay, great. So they do. They've got some delicious dark chocolate. Apparently,
What?
some very pretentious, delicious dark chocolate.
Oh,
Which is what I'm going to be eating right now.
I wish I had special dietary requirements now.
And a beer.
I've got some. I've just got some.
Top tip.
5
Top
pastry.
tip. No, go. Oh,
She was back again. It's the road behind. It's the road behind. It's very off-putting. Phew.
top tip. Flo, top tip. Order. Go online. And if you don't mind having the vegetarian or vegan option,
Never.
because first of all, you
I'll
absolutely
revise that
shouldn't
never,
mind
but
it.
keep going. I'll revise
Well,
that.
yeah.
never.
No. Hey, I'm not here to talk about that today. But
No. It was a mark of etiquette, which
Right.
is that if you're not vegetarian or vegan, and you're at say PowerPoint training,
Right.
I've been given some nuts. Oh, is that salt and vinegar? Yes. That's very nice.
Why does the air hostess all of a sudden sound a little more masculine and whispering at you?
I don't know, but I like it. We haven't had the discussion about women with moustaches, have we? I'm not talking about like big handlebar moustaches, although I think women with big handlebar moustaches have a place. I'm talking about like the sort of Charles II, very thin pencil moustaches.
Okay. Tell me more about this.
I just don't think I've met a woman that wouldn't be able to carry one off.
I like this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my girlfriend's in the chat, but okay. So now, I was talking earlier about that point where it's like, I know when I shouldn't and shouldn't say things.
No.
Apparently, when it comes down to that, she was here earlier. I know she was in the chat earlier. But I had to go. It's an hour later, and she's got an actual proper job and stuff. But she's not here. It's fine. It's not going to take a worrying turn. she sends to me lots of Snapchats where she's using the filters where she's got the pencil thin mustache, and she's like posing like this. I'm just like, yeah. So
I'm not wrong though, am I?
no, hey, look, I'm into it.
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't know what that. There's two arguments here. Okay.
Go on.
We're in the sort of creationism versus evolution debate. You might not realise that, but that's where we are right now. This is a curious thing. Women don't grow moustaches, but as we've proven through our sample of 2, women with pencil thin moustaches are to die for, and that suggests an evolutionary advantage that has not expressed itself despite millions of years of evolution. Therefore, God exists, right? However, if God is incapable of making error, where are all the women with moustaches?
Because if he was making mistakes, they would be born with moustaches.
If he was incapable of making mistakes, yeah, he'd be providing us with, not providing us. That sounds slightly too, But you just think, oh well, I know it'll work here. Pencil moustache.
Yeah.
So it simultaneously disproves evolution and creationism in one fell swoop, and now we're left up in the air, so to speak.
Is this an idea that you've spoken about much?
Too much, if I'm honest. But not online. Not online.
Okay, not online. I'm wondering if maybe it should have been kept that way.
Oh, really? I am.
No, it's great. It's great. It's very good. But but it's a concept that, yeah, it's unusual. But yeah, good for you. I'm glad you've locked into your thing.
Okay, good. Well, you reach an age and you know who you are.
Keep workshopping it.
I will workshop it. God makes prefect mistakes, says Ditopia. Oh, Ditopia asked a question earlier.
Okay.
And it might be one you want to avoid.
No
one's judging.
Watch me expertly avoid it.
Okay. What are the differences between working for Frontier and working for Bethesda? I appreciate as well. And no, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll allow you to add the nuance because you're the guest.
Okay. Well, what was the nuance you were going to add?
Oh, just that you're in a different role with Bethesda than you were with Frontier.
Yeah, which is a really, really important point, because a very different role, very, very different role. No worries, mate. Sorry, it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got.
We've got until that carriage reaches us to finish our drinks. It's very tight turnaround.
So, basically, so completely different. It's so completely different what I'm doing. Here's a rundown of why it's different. Would you like to know? Somebody should ask me directly what it is that my job is, because I'm not here representing my job right now.
Yeah.
That's something I do like to make clear, because it's all that fine line I was talking about between self-promotion versus the sort of the keeping the business in mind and understanding that when you are online what's your job, Edward? Thanks for quality. What? I've been having such a lovely time.
I know. We should have done the other flight. It's longer.
But the job is that I am basically I work with 22 community managers across 13 territories in Europe. And what I do is I largely work with... I'm having a conversation. Okay. Largely what I do is Sorry, I'm over here, aren't I? What I do is I need to start again. Here's the thing. What I found... This guy. I
know, right?
I know, you're very good at your job, sir. But you do need to let me speak.
I got rid of him.
Thank you. So there's a great thing, right? That I've kind of sussed out recently, and it's this, and it goes like this. It goes, Elite Dangerous is and this is what I used to say right at the start, a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Yeah, I've got the popping thing. Massively multiplayer style online role-playing game set in a one-to-one scale recreation of our I used to have this down to an absolute T. Recreation of our entire Milky Way, and you can go bounty hunting, you can join up with friends, you can go trading, you can go and explore, you can basically do whatever that you want, flying these ships and customizing these ships. It's like, imagine if you were playing a car game. It's that level of customization, but on ships instead of cars. And I had this thing down to this was the spiel that we used to say at the events and stuff like that to people who would say, "What's Elite about then?" Or like the press would talk to me. And I feel like that when I got that nailed, and that was like I could do that without in my sleep. That was the point when I was like, I feel as if I know this job and I'm ready to do it. And I'm kind of I realized the other day that I'm starting to be able to do my own spiel about my current job. It's a completely different thing because it's not like a forward-facing response. But basically, I work with 22 community managers across 13 territories in Europe, including, and actually additionally Australia, New Zealand, Russia, Turkey, and recently we brought on board the Middle East. Now, what I do is I come up with the strategic approach to community management. So I'll be doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff where it's making sure people are planning, preparing, and coming up with their own approaches, because of course it comes down to territory nuance too. So I can't just jump in and say, here's how you should do your community management, when I actually don't know anything about how France's community will react, or how Germany's community, or Australia, or Russia, or Poland, or Turkey, or any of these places that we represent as part of ZeniMax Europe Limited. Now, and what I do is make sure that there is a semblance of something cohesive across all of that. And so what I do is I provide templates almost of kind of how I see things should be done. Take those to each territory, and then they work with me on creating their strategic approaches with guidance from me, and so I understand better what it is. So I'll say, okay, that's interesting that you think that in Russia. Why is that? Have you thought about this instead? I then organize all of that, and then I communicate it back into Central and to our North American headquarters. Also, I make sure that communication flow between the North American headquarters and what they strategically are planning, and also help them out with their strategic approaches too. And I've been doing a lot more of that in this last year, is I work very directly with North, and I point upwards because, they're effectively the bosses. So I work with my US counterparts very closely to make sure that the community managers in Europe have everything that they need to do to feel empowered, to feel enabled, to do their jobs really well, and also understand what it is that their position is. Because there's in a bigger place, and actually, can I tell you about Bethesda in terms of family? It is. I have never worked in it. I worked at Frontier, and it was my family. Right? It felt like my family, but I've never worked at a place that has kind of expressed those family values as much as Bethesda does. For what everyone thinks is this big thing, you must be a tiny cog. Whoa, no. A surprisingly lean team full of super, super passionate people. And yeah, I love it. It's very different. It's completely different. It does have its own games products. So Micro T asks, again, I'm not here representing Bethesda or ZeniMax here today, and this is now me doing my forward-facing role type situation, making that flip. But it is a consultancy, or does it have its own gameplay products? ZeniMax is the parent company that owns Bethesda Softworks, which is the.
Oh, he's gone again. I think it's whenever he's close to saying something, improper.
He's clearly saying something where the internet gods struck me down. But the ZeniMax owns Bethesda Softworks, which is the publishing arm, which is what I'm technically. I'm technically part of ZeniMax Europe Limited, which is a subsidiary of ZeniMax as well. But then Bethesda Game Studios, BGS, which is really funny that BGS would be such a recurring theme throughout my working career. BGS at Frontier obviously being something very different to BGS at ZeniMax. But Bethesda Game Studios, of course, they make Skyrim, Fallout 76, Fallout games, and on. Then we have id. They own id. So ZeniMax owns id. ZeniMax owns Tango, which Evil Within games, and the recently announced Project Ghostwire, Project Ghostwire Tokyo. That's it. Lots of different names. Then there's ZeniMax Online Studios, ZOS, and they do Elder Scrolls Online, which is huge, like hugely successful game. Then there's Machine Games, you know, the guys who did Wolfenstein. They're great. And Arcane, who are working on Deathloop at the moment, which is genuinely looking really super exciting.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I have a lot less direct contact with these people. We have community managers that are lead community managers that work closely with those developers. And then they kind of, that information comes through them to us. It's not like a restricted thing, but as soon as a business becomes a certain size, you've got to control that flow of information, because there's a lot of people out there that would love to know exactly what Bethesda are doing at all times. And you got to just, you've got to kind of respect those things and respect the hierarchy and business infrastructures suddenly become very, very important once you pass a certain size. But that said, Bethesda feels small. It feels like a people who say that stuff about family a lot, and it feels genuine. Like, I've got to say, like, working there, it feels so genuine. Like, you can tell that these people set it up together 20 years ago ish, and are now what they've done with it. They are so proud of that and so protective over it, and they genuinely feel a sense of family. And I totally believe it. Unfortunately, you may have seen the news that the CEO passed away recently. Robert Altman passed away not that long ago, a few weeks ago. He's the CEO of ZeniMax. The outpouring of love internally was like heartwarming and overwhelming, and I've never felt a company grieve. And the company was grieving together, and it was it solidified, and I don't think this is out of line to say, but for me it solidified my position there. I was like, this is a company of people who really, really care and are really passionate and care about each other. And I was like, okay, all right then, I like it here. And so I'd like it here. It's very, very different. Very, 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 very different. There you go.
Yeah.
Was that probably too long of an answer for a short question?
It's I think there's an art to keeping companies at a human scale, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's a very difficult thing to get right. And it sounds like Bethesda does. Bit of a bumpy landing. This.
It was landed.
Now, is everyone going to clap? Because I really hope they're not. He doesn't look very impressed. I don't think he is going to be clapping.
No, he's asleep, I think.
Ooh.
It's okay.
Last time we did this, we had some chap peeking at me all the while through that little crack there. It was most unsettling. Most unsettling.
Some little chap. Yeah. I think that they do, and again, something that I'm absolutely not allowed to comment on is the $7.5 billion acquisition from Microsoft, which is another interesting thing that Bethesda have a really, really exciting feature, and that is part forward-facing statement, but also just how I feel. Like, genuinely, I think that they've got some. Oh, let's just say we, shouldn't I? I should say we. Yeah, some exciting stuff ahead. Some really, really exciting stuff ahead. Exciting times to play video games. For sure.
This is a bit of a gear shift, and I hope chat won't begrudge me too much. But
Oh, please, please, yeah.
Uh,
I don't want to talk about games
and
too much.
I think you said that you don't want to get too far into the whole veganism thing.
Yeah. I
But-
can. I'm happy to.
But did you see in the news today? I think it was today that there's a chap in India who was killed by his own chicken.
No,
Uh,
I didn't. I didn't see this.
And this is a tragic. This is a tragic story, but
Right, it sounds it.
You know,
It sounds it.
it's
Go
one to make the gods laugh, I would think. This is apparently in India. There's this illegal cockfighting where, because I assume that cockfighting as it stands just takes too long. So what they've done in India is they've decided to tie knives to the.
Right.
This sounds like this is absolutely not a joke. It
Right,
sounds like a setup.
Right. It's because cockfighting, it wasn't edgy enough anymore.
No.
So you need to drop knives to people.
Should point out as well that this is illegal in India.
Gentlemen, welcome to Halifax Stanfield International Airport.
Thank you.
Halifax Stanfield.
So this chap, he's I think it was at the event. I think it was at the event. He's got his cock. He's strapped a knife to it, and he's handling it into the arena. And
Handling his cock into the arena with a knife
the
strapped
cock
to it, right?
cock basically turns around and stabs him in the
On
groin,
behalf of myself and the rest of our
and
crew,
he dies.
for choosing Pan Atlantic on your trip today.
Yeah,
We know you have a choice of carriers,
Karma?
and we appreciate you
Karma?
it's hard not to it's hard not to see that as karma.
I would never say that, but
And apparently, Ed, not the first time it's happened. Not the first time it's happened.
killed by his own armed cock, says Karumba. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah.
Work.
I mean, it's not necessarily vegan news, but it's animal cruelty
Exactly.
news. So it
Absolutely.
kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the connection.
Also, I've thought about veganism, but not a lot. I think that's, or not as much as a vegan has. I think that's the standard. I think that's it. It's sort of like just a slightly bizarre parallel. Trans rights. It's like a transsexual person has probably thought more about trans issues than a transphobe. Really.
Yeah.
no, that's
That's a
basically.
really good point. That's actually a really interesting point. Why? Well, yeah. I've thought about it long enough, and
Yeah.
and that's the decision that felt like the right thing to do after I'd thought about it for a long time.
And it's,
After I weighed all of the stuff up, and I went, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do the thing that is like being nice to the planet and animals and
Explain
myself.
the joke.
I'll go with that one. You know? Yeah, I know. Don't get me started. Don't get me. We said don't get me started. I'm not here to preach. I'm here to. You know what? I am here to flog balance.
balance.
That's what I'm here to
Yes.
flog.
Yes.
Balance. Yeah,
Balance.
about a mental balance, but balancing everything. Balancing. I know it sounds a bit like I'm a hippie, but it is
Worst things to be.
genuinely. And proud. And if you were to talk about any concept, balance, and then say, would it be better if it was balanced? The answer is usually yes.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Regardless of anything that you talk about, literally any subject.
Your
and then there's
your definition of balance might be. Different
I'm talking
necessarily.
broadly about
Yeah.
sort of things just becoming kind of everyone knows what I mean by that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Balance,
yeah.
sort of finding that point where people can agree. Finding
Absolutely.
not just that, but in everything in life, standing up standing up. I usually do this much better when I'm not in front of a camera. Standing up, requires balance. The world requires a certain particular type of balance for it to keep going, and all this. I could go on about this for quite some time, so I won't. But that's what everyone should be thinking about. Like when you're feeling out of balance, is never a good thing, right? When you feel out of balance, you're like, oh, something's wrong. I'm either too full or I'm too hungry. Right in the middle, great. I'm too thirsty, not thirsty enough. Right in the middle, fantastic. So like you can go to little granular levels on any subject and say that actually the middle point, that's the best. That's the sweet spot. People talk about the sweet spot. Well, it's the same thing. and that involves kind of, if you're ever feeling in your heart something's wildly wrong and twisted, and something's happening that's causing you stress and strain and tension, then at that point seek out that balance. It doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong or you've just gone a little too far one way, and all you need to do is just gently adjust yourself back into that middle position.
It just be about reframing what is happening in a way that accounts that not necessarily going to get rid of that tension, but just say, right, I'm experiencing this tension and I'm accepting this tension because further down the line this thing is going to happen which is going to benefit me. So this is a temporary thing that I need to work through in order to get beyond.
And eventually it's going to readdress the balance anyway. And I also very quickly want to talk about like the fact that actually sometimes it does take, and this is to do with left and right wing politics as well, which, whoa, that's something I never would have. Well, it's just to do with like the swing to the left, swing to the right. And if there weren't people on the left, then or with left political beliefs, then the right would be able to just run too far with their ideals. And so actually I would love it if we could all be centrist, but there are too many people going one way or the other, which means that it wildly swings. And actually if we all were to be able to get together in the center and just go, but but then it's the idea is that like actually I'm talking about individual balance and seeking out balance, and actually a societal balance is a completely whole other different topic to talk about. And like a world balance, a nature's balance, and also the universe. And that's when you start to be a bit like existential dread, because you go, well, it doesn't really matter anyway what I do, because this is all going to play out the way it's going to play out. And eventually the universe is going to find its own balance naturally, and we were just a part of that. And when you start thinking that way, you then just got to remember to just enjoy your beer and calm down.
Absolutely. Now, Ed, we do a thing on this channel, which is to explain jokes.
You mean we don't just talk for hours about existential dread?
This is fine.
All right, okay, good.
Existential
really
dread.
glad.
We tend to give our existential dread for Thursdays, because that's when Needles streams. It's more Needles thing.
Yeah, great.
But yes, we have a joke. We explain jokes. And we've had a request in for you to explain a joke. Do you feel up to explaining it? I realise I'm sort of putting you on the spot here a little bit.
Yeah. Do I need to come up with the joke?
No. I'm going to present you with a joke, and then you have to
and
explain
then you need to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is good because I don't understand it myself. What would the Dragonborn's weapon be if Skyrim was a modern setting?
Would the dragon? Oh,
a shout gun, obviously.
Yeah, a shout gun. Okay, so you want me to explain why that's a joke?
Yes.
Well, I can't tell you that because that would be impossible because it isn't funny. But what I can't why whose joke was it?
It's Micro T's joke.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Micro T. Oh no, Micro T doesn't even know me that well. I'm so sorry, Micro T. I love you, Micro T. He's all right. He
seems to be enjoying the moment.
All right. So Dovahkiin, the Dragonborn. I mean, I know this, but I've played Skyrim a million times, even before I joined the company. So this is just my experience of Skyrim rather than working at Bethesda that gives me the ability to answer this question. A dragon shout is one of the special abilities that you get where you go Fustora and you go boo. So he says this, and it blasts the person away. And I think that the joke is that if it was modern setting, they wouldn't do anything. They would probably skip any sort of ingenuity, and they would go straight for a gun that just shouts out that knocks people over. I think that's the joke. Okay. If that's the joke, I don't know, and I feel like I may have caused Micro T to unsubscribe from your channel, and I couldn't think of one offhand. I nabbed it. All right. Well, thanks, Micro T. I thought it was very funny, and you're if you came up with one yourself, it would be much more.
Apparently, it's Micro T got it from the internet. that well-known repository of quality jokes.
Apparently, it was a spoiler for a 10-year-old, nearly 10-year-old game. There, sorry.
Spoilers.
The first out isn't just food. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. This
Apologies.
is a 2-hour flight, and it's never taken 2 hours. This is the third. This is the third time. What is slightly disturbing as well.
We've actually landed ages ago. We're just sitting in the plane on our own.
We landed at 9. We set off pretty much 8 o'clock on the dot, and we landed at 9:30. So I think we must have had the wind behind us.
Yeah,
I think so. Oh yes, no. The other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it occurred to me, and this again is. It feels like this is a bit of a stupid observation because it seems so obvious, but as far as veganism goes, in the and obviously this isn't everywhere, in the growing of fruit and vegetables and grains and berries and whatnot, and products are used that have animal of animal origin. There we go. That's the yeah. So how do you navigate that as a vegan?
So I think the question. I think I understand the question that you're asking.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a smarter way to come back to you on it, other than saying you're kind of missing the point. And I'm not. That's not a criticism of you.
No. Yeah.
It's a criticism of the, like, that would even be a critique. Why am I the one who is answering that?
I'd never extend that as a critique or as sort of
No. I understand the point. The point is it's a minefield and it's so difficult. So how do you kind of justify that when actually this connected to this down the line is this connected to this down the line? Is that the kind of point you were getting at? That it's actually almost impossible to be entirely or wholly vegan?
I guess my viewpoint is that you have to essentially draw a line. And
you have to draw a line, and you also have to just know that you're.
It would be ridiculous of me to say that
you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. No one has to. There's no hard and fast rules to veganism. Like, as much as people want you to believe that, I do the things I do because I'm looking for the. I mean, if I was looking for the affirmation of other people, I certainly wouldn't be vegan, because that. Let me tell you, when you're a vegan, life it becomes harder. Although I love it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy seeking out the new foods and the interesting things. But the truth is, that you can't have. But you should be doing it for yourself, and you should be doing it for the planet and people, not because you want to prove other people any right or wrong or change the way somebody else feels, right? And also, you can never be perfect, as we know. But at least you're doing something, and it's more about that attitude shift. And it's more about the as like getting on a plane, right? It is still okay to do, and I hate that whole sort of like the whole feeling of you're a hypocrite and stuff. Oh, at least I'm doing something. Like, stop criticizing me when you're doing nothing. Is the thing. And so people coming up with these creative ways to undermine veganism are missing the point. The point is that, like, one, it's better for your heart and it's better for you. But like, and as soon as you start to talk about that angle and tell people to watch The Game Changers, which is an amazing Netflix and documentary, and they watch that and they go, oh wow, like, it can benefit me if I make positive changes to my diet. Oh, okay, now I'm interested. But people just don't want to be told how to live their lives, and that's fine. But also, it is funny. Oh, vegans always talk about veganism. No, they don't. In my experience,
I've crowbarred it out of you tonight.
Yes, in my experience, other people always bring it up first. But that said, I do think it's important to be shouting about it, because it's an important thing, and it's something I properly believe in. And I would in the past stay quieter on things that I believed in. And actually, I think that's important too. Is that a balance to be found in how you communicate on these things, and there's a balance to be found in what is meaningful and what isn't meaningful. And actually, you can't change the world by not getting on a plane and stuff, and because that's stuff you have to do. You still live in this society. I'm still part of this society, so I still have to take petrol. Oh, they used a diesel. The Extinction Rebellion used a diesel thing. What are you doing? Why are you on the internet complaining about this man using a diesel thing? Why does it matter? Why are you so angry about it that you have to comment on that when you're doing nothing? At least this person is trying something. This person is looking at the world and going, something's not right here. I need to change the way that I live in hopes that other people will then feel inspired or feel interested into learning about it.
Or even that there are enough other people out there doing it as well.
Yeah, to kind of feel inspired. Yeah, and then at least they're doing something, even if you don't believe that it's having the biggest impact or like they're a hypocrite. At least they're. What have you done? What have you done? You've just complained on the internet. Well done, you. And and that's where I start to get annoyed. But at the same time, I am in no way critical of people who. Oh, I have been. Of course, I have been. Sometimes I look at something on the internet and I go, how are people not coming around to this yet? Like, how is this not? And then when the conversation comes up, why is it me on the back foot or me being mocked or laughed at in the workplace or something because I chose a vegan meal instead?
You've already you've already essentially taken the action or at least started the process, I guess. Whereas, so it shouldn't necessarily fall on you to do the work to get other people to start the process.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert at it.
No.
Just because I've chosen that lifestyle doesn't mean that I know every answer, and I'm expected to know every answer. No, Jack, you are. I am so happy to be having this conversation. This is a joy for me to have this conversation. Like I enjoy saying what I'm saying now because it's normalizing it a bit. Like I'm not some weird. Like I feel like people think that vegans are this, and I used to think this as well. I can remember being on a plane and I ordered the vegetarian. It was when I just first become vegetarian, which was 3 years before I came vegan. And I remember getting a vegan meal, and I remember feeling a bit like, this is a dietary requirement meal, and that kind of freaked me out. I remember, and now looking back at that, I think, what an idiot. And then, well, that means that I think that other people. I don't think that people are idiots. I just mean that I hadn't thought about it enough yet. To your initial point, I could talk about this for hours, by the way. So feel free to do so, and I'm not in any way put about because of it, because I know that you come from an interested, positive place.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's the ignorance versus and nastiness almost. People trying to they try to almost project onto you. They're annoyed at you because you're basically demonstrating something that they don't want to do, but kind of know deep down that there's some truth in it.
Yeah.
There's some truth in it. And it's not for everyone. And there's stuff like planetary health diets. If anyone wants to, you should Google planetary health diet, because that's actually really interesting. And it's just like, it's someone put forward this thing and said, actually, if everyone ate like this, the planet would be really healthy in like 10 years. If everyone just cut down a little bit instead of just constantly mass consuming everything.
And that's I think that's sort of where I am, or where I sort of try to be is to reduce, which isn't enough necessarily, or enough is a weird term, but it's a start, of that sort of notion of saying, well, actually, and we didn't used to live like this, where we basically have meat with every meal,
No.
I mean, the whole notion of the Sunday roast, essentially, as I understand it, is stemming from that's the meal that you would have meat in.
Yeah, once a week, right?
Not necessarily have meat for the rest of the week.
Interesting. I don't miss it, by the way.
No.
The thing that people always say to me is about cheese, and they say cheese. And I spoke to my mum earlier today, and she was like, "I don't eat meat that much anymore." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And again, she brought it up, not me. She brought it up. "Oh, don't eat meat anymore, by the way. Are you still doing that vegan thing?" It's like, yeah. I was like, I will never. It's not even a question for me anymore. It's not even something that. And I'm very lucky to have. I actually, and here's a behind the scenes scoop for you. I currently live with WNL. Everybody, I'm currently living with Walter Neal Lewis. We could shout him in if you want. No, he's busy watching football or something. But I'm currently, because I'm saving up some money during this work from home period. I was like, well, I'll just come back and live here and save some money up for a bit. And yeah, nice. Feels good. And it's really, I'm very, very lucky that I'm getting to spend time with my dad. How often, can people say that they got to spend in their adult life a big extended period of time with their dad? Like, I feel very lucky. And also, I'm lucky that they're so accommodating. Like, his wife, my stepmom, she's vegetarian and always has been, and they cook vegan meals basically every day. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that. And my girlfriend, my partner, she's vegan as well, so we can get together and we scheme evil vegan schemes about how we're going
agenda.
How about we're going to stop people from eating bacon? We go in and we steal all the bacon. And then we put it in the landfill, and I don't know what I'm saying.
There's this. I'm quite into the fake meat thing. I quite like the fake meat thing.
Me too.
There's a sketch that went out on Seth Meyers' show about fake meat. I kind of want to. I'll send you a link. And I'll put a link in Discord.
Cool. I'll check. I'm just reading. So Osric, the thing is, it's worth remembering. It's far easier for people to be vegan now. Yeah, true. It is. Yeah. It is true. It is true. Like, as in, the transition is easier anyway because these fake meats that you're talking about, they're delicious. The Beyond Burger is as delicious and much less. For me, part of what I didn't like about I love burgers. Burgers were my favorite things. I love a big burger. But the juices that then drip down. Some people like that stuff, like getting on your arms there. But I just couldn't stand that stuff. Like, just feel like sticky straight away. Just not into that kind of stuff. And but with Beyond, tastes the same without all that horrible dripping, and also it's better for you. And by the way, being a vegan doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy because you can just eat a lot of chips.
Yeah.
And then that's
basically
something.
I don't know if this is a concept or what. There's this sort of notion that vegetarian food is all sweet, which isn't true, but a lot of it is sweet. You know, there is a lot of that.
Yeah,
it does lean into the sweet tooth quite a bit. Which I think,
caramel, but vegetarianism, because cake and chocolate and stuff like that, right? But again, that's the thing for me. That was the wild. That was to be clear. That was the one thing that kind of bothered me at first was a Snickers. You know, can't just go and have a Snickers in a shop. But you know what? I'll take not having a Snickers if it means that I'm not supporting what I see as a very cruel industry.
Yeah.
That's about as direct as I get about it. I think it's fair. I think it's pain. I think if I made a joke to one of my friends the other day. I was like, butter is pain anyway. Because he was like, margarine's terrible. Margarine, why would you have margarine? And I was like, hold on, man. It's close enough. Like, come on. It just softens up your bread. It's basically the thing.
I think what I'd be tempted to do in that situation was insist that it's pronounced with a hard G.
Is it?
It used to be. Because it's made with margaric acid originally. In fact, what we have now is bread. It's not even margarine. But it's spread because it's not made with margaric acid. In order to be margarine, it has to be made with.
Yeah, as Osmic said, it's probably also not margarine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm learning. I'm learning today.
But
I always learn with you lot.
I just double down on annoying your friend basically in that situation.
I did already, and I think when I said that to him, and every single time I go, oh, why am I saying that? Like, stop it! I know how I sound. I know exactly how I sound, and so I mostly just stay quiet until it's brought up. Because people do that thing. Oh, sorry, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah,
and I'm like, don't apologize to me. Like, I'm not doing this to you. Like, no one's. I didn't bring it. And it's interesting. It's interesting, and it has become to say it isn't part of your identity because it sort of becomes part of your identity because people are very interested about it and want to talk about it, and so it does become a part of your identity. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I made a personal rule, which I suppose I've sort of broken tonight a little bit. but not. I don't know. I just never put it in the same bucket, I guess. But it's just basically that if you're speaking to somebody who is, and I'm speaking, by the way, as a middle-aged white bisexual man, so I've got something going for me. But is that you basically?
I've got nothing in that case. I've got absolutely nothing. I'm the worst of the worst. I am the worst of the worst. White, straight, male.
Terrible.
White, straight. Technically, I'm a millennial as well. I don't know how you feel. How everyone feels about that. White, straight, millennial male.
Course again. No, it's basically if you're talking to somebody who is disabled, or if they are black or minority ethnic or whatever, that's not the thing that you have to talk about.
Right. And but veganism isn't that. Though. Veganism isn't that.
No, it's not in the sense that it is a choice that you've made.
Yeah,
it does fall into a slightly different bag. But I think for me the logic of basically just not instigating conversations about disability with a disabled person is because they're living it. You know, it's almost like when you make a joke of somebody's name, you know, and you think, I would say,
actually, funny enough, height jokes, right? I'm sure. And that actually annoys me a bit because it's like I didn't make the choice to be this height. Yeah. Why are you picking on that thing about me? Like, there's plenty of annoying stuff about me that you could pick on that I choose to do. That please attack me for those things and like break my ego down. But my height, I'm just like, why is this a thing? Yeah. It doesn't happen that often. And you can't take yourself too seriously either.
I was going to say, is that like hang on, Is it?
You had a chance to grow up years ago, says Music Man. Well, that's it. That's it. And you can't take it too seriously. And actually, I would rather people focused on that rather than I'm an annoying person who talks over people, because that actually would hurt my feelings.
I was going to say that there's a difference between being sensitive about something and being sensitive about something being the butt of a joke. If that makes sense. And it does. You can be absolutely fine about your height, but
it doesn't bother me.
I don't think
about it until someone brings it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Until somebody brings it up, I don't have a problem with it. And then all of a sudden, someone will bring it up, and I'll go, okay, so that's what you've chosen to focus. And some of you will know this, but I have my birthmark as well. Have you seen?
Yes. Oh, he was about to say something shocking and scandalous about his birthmark. Then.
Is it a specific time where that's happening?
I don't think so.
Yeah. But people get this sort of birthmark I've got here, right? And when people first meet me or first talk to me, and I never think about it until someone brings it up, and people say some weird stuff about it. Like I wish I had something to mind right now, but I can't think of anything immediately. But I've had some stuff recently with people, and I'm just like, you really won't stop talking about this birthmark, and it's so insignificant to me that I don't see it as even a thing. I forget I got it.
I was going to say you can't see it, can you?
Well, that's true. And I don't even see when I look in mirrors. Actually, it goes to the top of my ear. I don't know if you can see it there. I've got it on top of my ear. And it goes all the way back up to the top of my head here, all the way back around there, and then back down a little bit on my back as well. And I think it's cool, but I forget about it completely until someone brings it up, and I go, what? And then I go, and then it makes me think every now and again, are people staring at it? Is that do people think, ugh? Do people think, ugh? Tell me.
From observing people in chat, often they think hickey.
Yes, they do. People in chat would always bring it up. That's a really good point. You just forget, and
I've always
honestly to the point where I'm astonished that I'm even talking about it right now, because I'm like, it's so meaningless to me.
I always loved how you handled that though in chat, because I felt like it happened often enough for me to be a bit bored about it.
Well, I forgot. I'd even forgotten until you brought it up that used to happen, because I would just go, oh yeah, it's birthmark. All right, moving on. That's it. Yeah. And I find that, and one really insightful, interesting thing that somebody said to me, and I know we've only got a minute left, was he said to me, and he was a guy I met, Tom Bollard. It was on my master's degree in 2000 and something, and 2010. and I did and I was doing master's degree, and he said to me the first day he met me, it seemed really big, and he said the more he got to know me, he would then also forget that it existed, because it clearly was of such low importance to me in terms of how I carried myself.
Yeah.
And it was never a big deal at all. I subconsciously think that sometimes I turn this way for live streams and stuff, subconsciously, but I should be proud of it, shouldn't I? I should get it tattooed.
Definitely.
So, I mean,
Tattooed on the other side.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work. Sorry, that was a silly idea. I don't know why I said it.
Well, maybe I should. No, I wasn't listening.
No, fair enough.
Oh, surprise. Now there's something that you should be insulting me for. Things that are in my control.
I do remember having a conversation with you, and you asked me how the stream was going, and I was saying, well, it's okay, but there's sort of this. I'm a real boy, and when people first tune into the stream, that's the first thing that they sort of see, and that's the first thing they think about and maybe ask is how a real boy comes to be streaming, and but there has to be something beyond that. And I think I said to you at the time, it's like, if you had a birthmark, and then that was like the first thing, and then as the word birthmark left my head, I thought, oh, why did I? And I still don't know.
I say it? Did I even react to that? I probably didn't.
I don't think you did until I pointed it out. I don't think I have a birthmark in my head. I don't have a birthmark in my head. I don't, because it would be a different story if it was here on my face and I grew up knowing that people are looking at my birthmark. Like Chris Morris. But it's just right out of the way, Yeah. And also I'm not. I mean, we all are, aren't we? We're all concerned with our appearances, but I'm not obsessed with it enough to wake up and go, oh, I must cover up my birthmark. Yeah.
But I kind of enjoy the questions. But I just love attention.
Yeah. The Gimp has a dead tooth, a sort of discoloured tooth from a childhood accident, and
can't say I'd noticed that.
It's the slightly frustrating thing with that is that people don't generally notice,
right? Until they look right on in your mouth, and then it's too late.
And then, they just assume, well, you've got a little bit of food there on your, which presumably means that more people are seeing it than saying it, because not everybody says that.
Alien is a really good point. Even if it was on my face, you'd still forget and not see it, and that is a really good point, because that's probably how everybody feels about their thing that other people notice, right? That it must be everyone. You just forget your, it's you. That's who you are.
I think there are enough stories as well about people who are totally hung up about like their nose. They think their nose is too big or whatever. And then it just takes one encounter with somebody that actually suddenly they realise that actually their nose is fine. I think that's and Alien's point is right. And when I was saying about the birthmark being on front of the face, I wasn't saying that that's a terrible thing. I was saying it probably would have impacted my life differently. That's all, and maybe I would have thought about it differently. But actually, good point. I would forget it and not see it eventually, wouldn't you? It's just your face. Like why? Yeah. One thing I've encountered quite a lot is people growing up thinking that they're basically ugly, and then they'll find a photo of them, like in their 40s, they'll find a photo of them in their 20s, and suddenly discover, much to their surprise, that actually they were quite attractive, and it just never occurred to them.
Oh, that's sad, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's sad. And people complain about all this, like, stop being so soft, and you should train your children to be harder and all that. No, be nice to people. Like, what is it really that bad that we all just be nice to each other?
Ed, you go to war because you want your son to be a farmer, not a soldier.
Like it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What did you steal that one from?
No, I just thought of it just then.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No, really? Okay, well, let someone write that down.
Yeah.
And
can we add that to the quotes? Because that's where wisdom is recorded now. In the quotes. Well, Edward Lewis.
Yeah, let's not go on for too long. Let's not. Even though we could.
I know, because there seemed to be no hurry to clear this plane at all.
Yeah.
Which is slightly unnerving. Because usually these planes are just going straight out again. So the fact that it's sat here suggests that it can't go out again, which means that there's probably some potentially fatal technical fault with it that they haven't told us about to alleviate the
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine. Or have you
Yeah,
enjoyed?
I've had a lovely time. I've had a really lovely time. I was looking forward to this since you reminded me of it earlier this week.
Yes, glad I did.
And I was like, yes, I'm glad you did too. Yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. As I said, I do crave this sort of stuff. It's been lovely meeting you, Ed. Thank you for keeping us company during the flight. Oh, thank you. It's Mariko T. And it was lovely to meet you too. And I'm really glad that the community is growing still because you are in good hands. Because, and I know that it's not. It's now grown to become something that pockets of communities here and there of different types.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that it all came from Frontier and well, effectively Braben's games, and it's really cool. So you're in good hands with this group of people. Yeah, I love this. Thanks. I like to talk about myself.
As I say, return flights are available. So further down the line.
I would
Who
love
knows?
to come back as a guest at some point if everybody else wouldn't hate that completely.
Not completely.
We've had enough. We've had enough of that. Yeah, and I'll do another stream at some point with a BIS quiz at some point. Why not?
with a bit of warning.
Nah.
Oh, you Rosser.
Maybe this. We didn't even get onto this, but I've kind of stopped using social media, largely for the same reasons. I just found I started to feel disingenuous, and I started to feel like the only reason I was on there was to sort of portray a version of myself that started to feel not like me. It didn't feel like who I really was. And I didn't like that anymore. And I was like, I felt done with that. And also, it's a toxic mess of a place, Twitter. So I don't really go on it anymore. But I hope you're all enjoying it. That's why when you ask me a question in DM and then when I reply, I never respond. That's correct, Osric. Because I barely log in anymore. And when I do, it's usually to work related and
or to plug a chat show. Or...
Yeah, to plug a chat show. Well, I thought I would. That's it, because you sent that to me on Facebook, and then you didn't even tag me into it, so I had to search for it, thinking, I wonder if it's on there, and then I retweeted it. Which made me look extra like I was searching my own name on the internet when I was really doing it because I wanted to make sure people could come along and see this, which is such a great, creative, and wonderful thing that you're doing here. I love it, I love what you're doing with your channel and with Needle, and I think that's so much fun. And I want to see where that goes.
Me too. Right. Well,
I'm sure you don't know either.
We've safely touched ground. We're going to be back with another flight at the end of next month. Don't know who yet. I keep wanting. There's somebody I want to approach, and I have to be really strict with myself to not say who it is that I'm going to approach.
Do it.
Because obviously I can't.
Don't say it. Just approach.
Yeah. If I give a name and then they can't do it, then. What was that about? It's not Tom Hanks, by the way. We have this ongoing joke that we're going to get Tom Hanks in.
But he'll do anything these days.
I was
He's
going to say,
for the money.
we are determined to get him, but
he's looking for the money. He's looking for the money.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, and thanks again.
Needle would be a good one.
Needle. We've the mods and I have briefly discussed Needle.
Right.
Slightly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're allowed needles on airplanes, but maybe they could fit in with a cork or something.
Yeah, I got on with a penknife once onto a plane.
Really?
Yeah.
Feels weird,
it was after the plane journey finished, and then I checked in my bag for something. I was like, I'd been on this plane the entire time with a big penknife, and I thought, that's scary. Anyway, let's not think about it.
I don't know how true
this is.
Deliberately.
Deliberately.
We're determined not to finish the stream, by the way.
Sorry, yeah.
Hello
to Jason R6. That's an important.
Do you know what the most? I believe this is true. The most confiscated item in customs is.
I don't want to say sex toy, but I'm going to say sex toy.
It's snow globes. I don't know what you do with snow globes, Ed, but
you could smash someone on the head with it.
No, it's a liquid container. You see.
So
okay. They can't take them through.
Ah.
But everywhere sells souvenir snow globes, and people collect them. So yeah.
Of course. Although I don't really know much about that because I'm not an 80-year-old.
I've got a
80-year-old woman.
I've got a thimble collection. I've got 3. Right. So we will be back with some Elite fun on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I look forward to you tuning in for that, Ed, especially. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very interested in where I am genuinely quite interested. That's why I've been looking back at the Elite Dangerous live streams recently, because Odyssey is I'm genuinely interested in it to see how that ended up looking. Yeah, very cool.
Definitely. But yes,
it's just really weird seeing the Elite Dangerous design, but with a gun on the screen.
Yeah,
in the images and stuff. It actually looks really sleek. Those gun designs look really nice.
I know this is a bit silly because obviously we've spent years blowing each other out of the sky. But I found there's a strange sort of a strange feeling that came over me when I saw the hand weapons. Somehow that was is that elite? And of course it is, But
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It was like, it almost felt. I use this word very, very lightly, but almost sacrilegious. Like, I think, God, this is all about the ships. Like, do you know what I mean? It was a weird feeling of like breaking a strange comfort barrier there, where it was like that stuff is kept for a different thing. And but I have high hopes for team or anything to do with it. Yeah.
So, yes. So, I've got no idea how to finish this. Ed, how would you advise?
Well, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and thank you so much to my guest, Jack Little. Jack, if people want to find anything by you, where should people head?
Okay, you can find us on twitch.tv/Jack Little. That's Little with a Y. And also on Twitter, Commander CMDR, Jack Little, again with a Y.
So thank you to everybody here in the chat, and thank you, Jack, especially, but thank you to everybody in the chat, because all of the best ones have been here tonight.
He said it!
And then I would say, until next time, see you later, bye!
Bye!
And then I would leave, if that's what you